first time. I don't know how I got up there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we went over to the pier.
Because I wasn't that close to Wanda.
So, lady, I'm gonna ask you guys to turn the Wi-Fi off of your phones.
Okay. Once I get in the chair.
It was over there.
See, you're trying to kill me. Yeah.
Just take your time, Mama.
Really? Love skating.
Oh, that's what I'm looking for.
We appreciate it. And once we, you can turn it on, because what'll happen, it'll interfere with the recording. And then once we start, I'm going to ask that you guys can go to your Facebook pages and just share it off of my page. Okay. Let me see. Yes, ma'am.
Can you do it?
Once it starts, it'll indicate something from my page that you can share off my page. But skating, are you gonna continue skating, ma'am?
Of course.
So you're gonna go back out there.
I'm gonna go back. I'm just gonna wear protective gear.
You're gonna have on the helmet, all kinds of
The
stuff.
knee pad.
Right, with the knee pad. Are we
Everything.
live yet? I just been talking.
Ooh.
Okay. Well, that just shows y'all that Friday, welcome to Samantha Wise Word. This is our 12th episode, and I had to bring some mothers in here in light of all that's been going on around the world and in our communities. We have a lot of mothers, a lot of parents, a lot of family members dealing with the sudden death, violent death of their sons, their loved ones, and I was asked to bring on some special guests to find out how they're dealing with the situation, how are they finding healing in the process, and what's allowing them to push forward with these initiatives that they have going on right now. So to my left, I have Miss Wanda, and then we have Miss Brenda, and we have Miss Paris. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we're going to go on and have them talk about the lives of their sons. Now, their sons were tragically taken away from this world. So we're gonna talk about their lives. We're not gonna talk about all the stuff that they went through and all that, but I want them to be happy and be able to tell me something great about their sons. I'm sorry, Miss Wanda. Tell the people who you are.
My name is Wanda Johnson. I'm the mother of Oscar Grant, who was killed January 1st, 2009 at the Fruitvale BART station. And so I'm just so happy that I was invited to be on the program today. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it.
You know I love you. I love Miss Wanda. I think I started
good about it.
I started right.
You want me to, okay.
Yeah, we can do the introduction, then we can go back and we can talk about the good stuff.
Okay. Oh, my name is Brenda Grisham, and I'm the mother of Christopher Jones, and he was murdered December 31st, 2010.
Hi, my name is Paris Slaton. I'm the mother of Dimarea Young. He was 19 and he was murdered April 9th of 2013.
And as you guys can see, these kids, these young men were taken very early. And as a mother of two boys myself, I'm not really sure. We want to make sure they have that's my thought process. My dream for my boys are to outlive me. And these babies barely, we have 17, 19, and 22, right? Mm-hmm. 17, 19, and 22. And they haven't even began to lead their adult lives. They were still babies. They were still, they said wet under the neck and all that stuff. They were still babies. But Miss Wanda, tell me something great about Oscar. What made him funny to you? And I know those boys can get, them be our babies. That's your only son, right?
And I have a daughter. Yeah.
So you have one boy
and one
girl.
Yeah.
Tell me what he can do to get you to do whatever you wanted, whatever he wanted.
Okay. So, I just want to share something else funny real fast about Oscar, because it's so important to me. I know that the Lord had shown me years ago that Oscar and I would be in ministry together. And so what was so funny to me is I came home one Sunday after church, and Oscar and my daughter had gotten a ride from my mom to the house. And so I walk into the house, and Oscar has his hand on my daughter's head, and he's just praying, and he's just speaking in tongues. He's pretending, right? Okay. He wasn't filled, but he was just, pretending like he was speaking in tongues, and he was just healing her. And I was, and I just said, "What are you doing?" And they both started cracking up. And that was the funniest thing to me. But it reminded me, as I think about it and thought about it after he was killed, it reminded me of what the Lord had showed me, that him and I would be in ministry together. And when he died, it was like, Lord, we ain't in ministry together. What happened?
Right.
And the Lord showed me to look around. All the people that you're meeting is because of what happened with him. So you are in ministry together. And so that was just one of the funny stories, about Oscar, because Oscar he had a personality out of this world, that he would make you laugh. If you didn't want to laugh, he would make you laugh.
You can't come in his presence and be sad. You're like, okay, I know what's going to get mama. The Holy Spirit finna get her. So I'm going to play with it, which is good. So I'm at, come on, Miss B, tell me something about Chris.
Let me pick this out. Well, Christopher was my only son. So me and him had a different relationship, me and my daughters. Christopher could play basketball. Christopher played the organ, the piano, the drums, the congos. He could sing, he can write. So me being a choir director and minister of music, me and had a real tight relationship. I could go to him at 3 o'clock and say, Chris, I'm teaching this song tomorrow. I need you to listen to it. By the time we got to church, he would know it because he played by ear.
Wow.
His father's a pastor. And so he played for a lot of the local churches, and he was an honor student at Capsamont. And he had the weirdest sense of humor and could not dance to save his life. But, overall, he was a good kid. And, just like Miss Wanda said, I'm in a different kind of ministry because his life is touching so many people. He was 17. He was my baby. But his death is doing, more than I could have ever done in my whole lifetime.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
So you're using that tragedy to reach people.
Yes.
Yes, which is great. Come on, Paris. Tell me something about Dimarea.
Oh my goodness, Dimarea. Dimarea was very wise beyond his years. The story that really sticks out to me is just in the neighborhood. I always felt like you make people think I don't feed you because every household.
He was like,
No, they were always feeding him. They were like, no, this is for Dimarea. What is all this food, Mama? What you put this extra food for?
Right.
Oh, that's for Dimarea. He was their little
they
bodyguard. He would make sure they got in the house good. If somebody's approaching their car, he would be like, what's up? Who are you?
Right.
Kind of thing. And also, his teachers, he would take over their classrooms. They'd be teaching a lesson, and then he say something to really captivate and get the teacher's attention.
Right.
So next thing you know, the teacher is sitting there
in awe of him. Right.
And one of his tutors actually, she said she wrote me a letter when he passed away and said that he was the reason she wanted to finally teach.
Wow.
And that she said he became the teacher and she became the student.
Wow.
And so he would take over her class for seeming like hours, and she would have to, that's enough. She would have to command his attention back.
Right.
But that's what really stuck out about him to me is he not only he did like strange things to me, like
right.
Stuff like Mooney, that type of stuff.
Oh, so he was one of them.
Yeah, he was one of the goofy sons.
And that was your only.
That was my only.
So
son.
everybody,
middle child.
all of you guys only had the one son.
Yeah.
The one son. So, Miss Brenda, so do you want to share the story of what happened to Chris?
Sure. On New Year's Eve, I have a friend that has a musical every year. So Chris was supposed to go out of town, and that got deterred. So he was at home. There's a young man that plays at the lake all the time that plays the drums. Well, Christopher taught him to play.
Wow.
The day Christopher passed away, Aaron called him and said, Chris, can you come and teach me how to play this certain song? So he said, Mom, I'm going to take my keyboard. I'm going to take my sister, and we going to go, Grandpa going to pick us up, everybody, Grandpa, Auntie, Uncle.
Right.
And I'm going to go teach Aaron how to play the song. So he went up there for a few hours, and he came back. And Mr. Davis is always late. But he brought him back on time, and we were getting ready to go to a musical to sing. Okay. Since he didn't go out of town, we were going to go scenes at the time.
And this is his baby?
No, it's my oldest daughter's baby.
Okay.
And so we were getting in the car. You know, the young men were standing across the street. And Chris went to the car, put the baby in he walked me to the car. He put the baby in the car. He put the stuff in the trunk, walked his sister to the front. And my youngest daughter was locking the door. And I looked up and saw assault rifles and bullets just going everywhere. So my daughter was shot first, my oldest daughter. And I just told everybody to run. I never saw him put the baby in the car. So when he turned around and said, Mama, when he turned around to go back to the car, I didn't know what he was going for. But when I pushed him, he was already dead because he was shot in the face and in the temple. So, so I was laying on his back and my daughter's like, where's my baby? I was like, the baby? And the baby was in the car.
He had already secured her.
She was already in the car, but he went to
Right.
get her out of the car. He just never made it back to the car.
Oh, that's a hero.
Yeah.
Your baby, your 17-year-old boy
Yeah.
turned out to be a hero.
Yeah.
And were these guys after?
No, they were after somebody else. We just happened to be outside.
So it was, yeah.
Yeah. So when they opened fire, we just happened to be outside.
Well,
Even though they saw him put the baby in the car, they saw both of my daughters. It was, that didn't matter. So they got over 75 shell casings from in front of my house.
And did they get not that they didn't get it. Was your baby and your
His
daughter?
case is still unsolved.
So, okay. So if the two people that got shot were both your kids?
Yes, my daughter got shot first, and then Christopher got shot and killed.
And those are the only two people with 75 gun shells, casings, though your kids were the only people that got hit.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And so where are they at with the investigation? 'Cause I know you're probably calling these people.
Well, actually, no, I'm not. I work with Nancy closely, but I don't kind of mix.
Who is Nancy O'Malley?
Yes.
And that's our
DA.
okay.
I don't mix. You know what I mean? It'll be 11 years.
Okay.
So whether it's solved or not at this point really doesn't matter, because the work I'm doing is, trying to make change to those systems that keep people from getting, prosecuted. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, that's a live story. That's a true story. That's not something you're going to see on Lifetime. They're not going to let those kind of stories show up on Lifetime. But what I'm most afraid of is that people are getting away with this. 75 casings.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Our systems are a little bit different, where the DA that was in charge of his case at the time felt that the only way he could win the case would be with the actual weapons that they use. And so because he knew he wasn't going to find the weapons, he said he would never charge that case. But,
He would never?
No. If he never got the weapons, he would never charge it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that they had to have the weapon. Even
In
if
that case, because he said Christopher's death was a high profile case, that's what he wanted, period.
And now that Nancy has taken over, have they changed the way they're looking at his case now?
Well, she's always been in charge. She's always been the DA the whole time. But she assigns cases to different prosecutors.
Okay.
So if they feel they can't win it, she can't step in and say, well, you much you could
see about reform. How open are they to changing the laws or the rules when it comes to
what we deal with, they don't deal with in Washington. Year before last, I sat in Nancy Pelosi's office. I sat in our vice president's office, and they don't even talk about street violence on the Senate floor. No bills that are in place have anything to do with street violence because these kids aren't going to the store to buy a gun. They're not going to the store to buy ammunition. So the reform laws don't even touch that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the guns. I mean, that's what's killing our community, these guns and the lack of attention being paid. I don't care whether you went to the store and got it legally or however. I mean, there has to be a way to stop it. It's just too freely in our community.
You could pull up, but somebody could pull up and open a trunk and you could buy a gun.
We got to get away with that because the guns are coming from somewhere.
They're coming from somewhere.
Somebody's manufacturing the metal. Somebody's manufacturing the bullets. Somebody's making it.
Yeah.
And how are they ending up in our community? It's almost like, to me, it seems like it's almost like a setup. You know, we don't need the KKK anymore because we're going to just drop these guns and what they're going to, you know, I don't know. Miss, what do you think?
I definitely agree with you that we know that there is a systemic problem with our people being killed at the hands of each other and at the hands of law enforcement. And we also know that we're not the ones making the guns.
Right.
Okay. And so we have to, I think I kind of disagree with Brenda a little bit. We have to pressure these people that's in charge to do something, because if we don't pressure them, they're not going to do anything. They're going to think that it's acceptable to us. Because one of the things that we know that they feel about us is that we'll get out and we'll yell about it for a few minutes and we'll stop. And then they know our system, right? And until we change that system, they're going to continue to think that, well, you don't value your own lives. How can you value, say it's Black Lives Matter when you're killing each other? Because that's the thing that they always use. And so we have to come up with a strategic plan to work to get these guns off the street and to continue to go before Nancy O'Malley, go before our new Attorney General, and go before our new governor, and say, you know what, there's too many of our people getting killed. There's not enough cases being resolved.
Right.
This is unacceptable. You can go into another neighborhood and you can resolve the cases of community violence like that, and you should be able to do it in our communities.
Absolutely.
And we're not going to accept that you've been investigating and you don't have an answer, because you can get an answer. You can get more people on the investigation team to find out who is doing this killing and to hold them accountable.
Right.
I
agree.
And so, I mean, I'm sorry. It just
we felt that passion.
Okay.
Y'all felt that passion.
I'm telling you, because too many times, I look at the system has been built not for us, but against us. Yeah. And we got to begin to say, you know what? We're not going to accept that the system's not built for us. But since it's not built for us, we're going to change it. And we're going to fight. And we're gonna voice it till it's changed.
We gotta change it. Can I say amen?
I'm sorry.
Amen. You can tell she's also a minister, a preacher, a minister. So y'all can kind of feel that passion. So I'm almost moved to tears. But I know you wanted to go back and.
Well, our systems are a little bit different because yes, they catch the other races quicker than they catch ours because we don't cooperate. I mean, they can't solve a case without knowing. And in our community, it's too close in proximity. It's your cousin's friend's son that killed your girlfriend's daughter or whatever. So we're not telling.
That's true.
And that's the difference. And no law can make us, want to see better for ourselves until it comes to your front door. And we are our own worst enemy. Us as a people, we're our own worst enemy because it's twofold. You saving the life of a person that they could possibly kill, and you're saving their life by getting them off the street.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing to other people could happen to them.
Yeah.
Right.
And we don't see it that way. It's not snitching.
Right.
I mean,
it's just telling.
It's just, you know what I mean?
It's telling it. Snitching is too different.
And it might even save your own life.
Yeah, it's gonna save somebody's life.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with, I understand you said it's different in our community, but what I find interesting is that like when somebody else take the life of one of us, then we in the streets, Right. But when we do it, we should still be in the street. It still should be unacceptable. It's still one of our babies, and whether it's right or wrong. But Paris, I know your baby, he was at a training program, right? He was at a job training program with his daddy
and his godbrother.
Do you want to tell them a little bit of what happened?
Yeah, I can only tell what I've heard, because I don't, too many stories fly around. But the one that stuck out the most was he was there with his dad and his godbrother, and they were there to get, it's called Solar Richmond was the program that they were in, and they were trying to gain the certificates necessary to open up a construction business. And so there was a young man in there, from what I understand, that my son had a fight with, like when he was like 14, 15 years old. And so my godson said that when he saw them, he started to text on his phone.
For ourselves until it comes to your.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. She got head to bite. That's all.
I'm trying to see it on my phone.
And then
Yeah, that's why I was trying to share it.
when they walked in, my godson saw him first, and he said, "So are you okay?" He whispered to my son and said, "Are you okay?" My son was like, "I'm not here for that, you know. I'm just here for all that purpose. I'm not tripping off him." And so his dad said that he had saw somebody peeking. So he said my son was unusually quiet. And so he said, "Hey son, you okay?" He was like, "I'm good," like that. But he never said anything. They you know, he didn't act like he was afraid or shook up or nervous or anything. They said he was just really focused. And so long story short, because I don't want to be long-winded, but they went outside for the fitness test, the entire group, because it was a class. And so when they went out, they noticed that the young man kind of stayed in the backdrop. He didn't go like with the crowd. He kind of stayed back. And as they were getting ready to hit the corner, they were all jogging. They were jogging together. And his dad was in front of him. And my godson and him, they were in the back. And as soon as they got to hit the corner, they said a car just sped around the corner and started to shoot into the crowd and shot him and two other people. My son got shot in the back of the head.
I'm sorry. That's, you know, that's tragic, because when they're trying to do something good, and then, you know, the neighborhood, you know.
I just want to tap on that a little bit, because my son would always say he had gotten in trouble with a gun by himself before, and he said, "Mom," he said, "it's hard living out here." He said, "I'd love to shake a hand and be a friend, but I want to be cool with you, and I want to be cool with him. But depending on where we live at, I can't just be cool with you. But I want to be cool with everybody."
Right.
And he said, "I got to protect myself out here. I could be walking somewhere." And I'm like, "But son, you know, guns, it doesn't matter where you have one or not."
And that's where I find, this is what I'm finding out, like now everybody, you know, most of the tragic things that are happening in our community now, whether it's here, whether it's there, or the kids getting caught with guns and the police react and take their lives, is because they're protecting them. They're trying to protect themselves in their own communities.
Right. And the thing that came to me a little bit after his death, because I was asked to speak before, and I just introduced, because I said these people don't know each other. You know what I'm saying? They just going off of what they hear or what they heard. This one said, that one said. I'm like, you don't know my son, you know? And I feel like if they took the time to really get to know each other, and a lot of our kids are out there hurting. It's hurt out there on the street. And the hurt is what's killing all of our kids.
Hurt people.
The hurt, and then anger.
And the anger. And I feel like, I know somebody gonna beat me up for this, but I feel like our men really need to step up.
They do.
Definitely.
And take leadership over these boys.
But a lot of our men can't step up because they're hurting and have seen so many things, which causes them to walk around with the anger, the frustration, not being healed themselves. And we have to really, you know, come up with a way to work to begin to heal our community.
Yes.
Because, you know, a lot of our young men, they have seen so many things that we cannot even imagine. You know, some of them been sitting or standing right there seeing their friends, you know, get shot up and get killed, and can't say anything for fear that they might end up losing their lives. And, you know, just like don't want to tell because of the code. You know, if I go to jail or if I tell and I end up in jail, I'm going to be labeled a snitch. You know, all these things, you know, they have to think about seen as much as them, because, you know, a lot of us are the street, some of us are, and some of us have seen some things. But is so tragic because a lot of men do not have that outlet, to release their hurt, their pain. A lot of our young men don't either. And so, I mean, I don't want to use that as an excuse for their behavior, but it is a fact that many of them have seen so many things, and many of them have went to jail, and we can't imagine some of the things that happened to them while they were in the prison system. And they come out behaving in, different ways, and ways that are, just undescribable. And so they don't know how to channel that anger, and they go and shoot and kill up people.
Yeah. I'm just gonna hold accountable the ones that can.
Yeah.
Because if you have the power to build up your brother, like women, we have our issues and stuff, but we tend to build a sisterhood. And I feel like the men in our communities need to start building brotherhoods, like true brotherhoods, friendships. Whoever's fathers is not there, step up and be uncles. We become aunties to people we don't even know.
Absolutely.
I'm mothering young men that are not even my sons. So I'm saying to the ones who can, for the ones who are hurting, for the ones who don't have that strength, there are men out there that do. And I want them to step up. Seriously.
And I think,
I feel like they can and they should. And so with all that, the burden should not be on our backs all the time. We tired.
Exactly.
We are. That's true.
But we have to also be okay with the men coming in. Because a lot of times a woman be like, I don't need no man for nothing. I mean, you may not need one, but them kids do.
But look at what's happening to your kids in the streets.
Yeah, but they don't,
you know what I'm saying?
You got Uncle Jesse, you got Uncle Charles, you got Grandpa.
You know what I mean? You have them, but you gotta let them know that they're needed. Right, a lot of times we go swoop our kids up and that's my little man. No, he ain't no little man. He's 5 years old. Let that baby be. I mean, I don't know. It just, we put a lot of pressure on our boys. We put a lot of pressure. And what I'm being told is that a lot of mothers, they act like they're dating their sons. And so, or they're the beginning and the end of their sons, but the sons need more than that.
Yeah, you can't be their friends like that.
No,
you have to build a relationship with your children. But, unfortunately, our generation now, these mothers was pretty much playing on the playground with their kids. So how can they teach them something if they never finish school because they have their children young and the streets are raising them? If you let them get too far out there, then it's a problem. But these men that are out there that have been through life situations, they might can save somebody by the situation that they went through. Definitely. So we can't, you went to prison, you want to keep this young man on here from going to prison. Come talk to him, man. I was hanging out like you, and it's just not cool or whatever. You could say, come on, let me talk to you. I know of a program that could get you a job, this and the third. That might be all they need. Because I was a speaker for Ceasefire. And a lot of those young men, that are in gangs or whatever, they have children, and they don't want to. They want to do something else, but ain't nothing else out there. Well, Ms. Grisham, I got a son and I want to do something different, but how can you offer me something in this program and people with degrees can't get a job? And what you get? I mean, what you gonna say? I tell them you ain't got to kill nobody to eat.
Right.
You got to kill nobody. I mean, that's what you kind of put that in their spirit, because nobody goes up to the corners with these young men that are hanging because they're scared. But you go, hey, brother, how you doing? And it might change. They might have a conversation, but we don't do that. Because
we act like we're scared of them.
I
mean, what my thing is, when I see when I encounter them, I try to encounter them with love. I be like, hey, nephew. So I know if I'm in an area or a situation, or I'm at the grocery store and I see them coming out, or it's a gang of them, I'd be like, "What's up, nephew? I'm trying to get all the love so that when you just have your auntie, you come and help me."
I ain't got to blink. There you are.
Because I was telling you, I was walking one day. I was walking, doing, I'll be up in the morning or late walking, and these guys was in a car and they had the window down. So I was like, "Oh, I got my ring on." So I tried to turn my ring.
Right.
I was like, "Oh, whatever." And so they pulled up to me and they rolled the window down and they looked at me. I was like, "Oh God, they about to get me." And he said, "Oh, you that lady that be helping everybody."
Exactly.
I said, "Praise to God. Y'all just make sure y'all auntie get home. Y'all make sure y'all auntie get home." And I just kept walking. But it just, it's good to be aware,
Yeah.
but it's not good for us to be afraid of our own.
Right.
Because if everybody's afraid of them and nobody's willing to reach out and love them, where are they gonna get it from?
Nowhere.
Like you said, there are people, I was 17 when I had my son. So I grew up with my son, but I already knew what I wanted my son to be. I know what I wanted to look like while he was with me. Now, if he changed the trajectory of his life, at that point, that was on him. But it was my job to get him to that point. And
you poured it into him.
I poured it into
these younger, because we grew up. I'm 55.
Well, yeah,
when we grew up, we had the family dinners and we had the family things, so we knew what we wanted for our children.
Right.
So as the generations go further, they don't have all that. So I mean, what can you really pour into them? You need to look someplace else than the young men on the street to raise your kids.
Absolutely.
Take them to the family dinner, call uncle, whoever, and say, come on, and just, it might not be, I need to stick you on him, or have a family dinner and, let them try to pour some of what they had in their lives into your sons.
Right. Because I think we skipping generations. It's like good, bad, or just bad, bad, because our kids are not getting fed what we were fed. We wasn't, like you said, the grandma and the grandpa house. Where that look like?
Every Sunday.
That's what I'm saying. We stayed at my grandparents' house. And when we did wrong, grandpa had the big hands and he made sure, we got it. And then Auntie Hawkins would get you. And then Auntie Yvonne, they took a hand on it. But now we just leaving these kids out here to raise themselves. So we have a couple of comments on here. Carolyn said, I want to know where all the women are now in their lives and what they're doing to try to heal from this change. So we're going to go into that. They pretty much agree with you guys. I agree with men need to step up, the ones that try and take control of these young boys, because all the men aren't hurt. Mom's looking for something positive for your boys. Check out Chosen to Lead. That's something. One of the brothers that attended Acts Full Gospel has a group of there, and he's mentoring whether I like him or not. That's true. Get out of yourself. Stop being selfish. Right. I think that's selfish to keep the kids away from their father, because you're doing a disservice to the babies. Right. It takes a village to raise a child. We are the village. Let's learn from our mistakes and keep moving forward. That's true. We need to stick on. Nobody's better. Not say nothing to my babies. She said we stuck on. So she's saying that we stuck on. Don't say nothing to my babies. And that's where the village fails. That's where the village fails, because I would trust you to say something to my baby, because I know you. I know your integrity. I know that back in the day when I used to be cussing in the backyard, the lady came walking around and told my mother, I was gonna get in trouble. But everybody don't want. The lady told me I'm gonna tell your mama. I was like, dang, man, lady. And that's how I am. That's how I am. So we're gonna let Miss Wanda talk about her story and why she's an advocate now, and the thing that they did to her son, and what she went through. You guys get to see it play out. You got to see her story played out in the news over and over and over again. And then with this trial that ended 2 weeks ago, it was pretty similar. And as I was watching that trial, this has been going on forever.
And it's not
that abuse of us have been going on forever, and nobody ever felt. I don't know how you felt. So I'm gonna let you tell your story. I said the bad word. I'm sorry. Praise Jesus. I'm sorry.
So I don't even know where to start at. So my birthday is December 31st, and I always think about Brenda during that time, because I know that's when she lost her son. And so my son and I, and his fiance and my granddaughter, we got to spend that day together. And he was going to go over to San Francisco. He was going to drive, was what he had told me. And I said, you're not going to drive, because if you want to drink, you're not going to drink and drive.
Oh, Mama.
So you're going to take Bart. And he was like, no, Mom, we're just going to drive. I said, no, Oscar, you're not going to drive. You're going to take Bart, And so I said, okay, Mom, I'll take Bart. And so that's what he did. And in the process of them coming back, they said there was some kind of altercation on the train. And Oscar saw how the police officer was doing his friend. And he stood up and he told them that he wanted to speak to somebody who was in charge.
Okay.
And I don't think that the officer liked that, because he ran over and hit Oscar after Oscar told him that. And so the officer was being really aggressive. And Oscar was really trying to de-escalate the situation because he was telling his friends, you guys just be quiet, do what they say, we're going home. And he ended up losing his life. The gun from his taser, but we know that that's a lie. And how do we know it? Because if you look at Oscar's picture, his last picture on his cell phone is of him taking the picture of the officer who killed him, pointing his taser at him.
Oh, so he already had the taser out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He had it out. Oscar's last picture on his phone is him with the taser.
And the taser is a different color, right?
The
Yes,
taser's yellow.
It's different weight.
It's a different weight.
Yeah.
And you have to click a switch to utilize the gun. So it's different all around. So when...
But they don't talk about that. I never heard that part.
Oh, I can show you the picture. I got the picture.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I never heard that he had the picture of the...
Oh, yeah. He took that's
wow.
his last picture on his phone.
Wow.
And I'm still trying to get it 12 years later, just so you know. I was asking about his property actually yesterday, trying to get his property still. But the officer said at first that he thought that Oscar was going for a gun. So that's when he stood up and shot Oscar. But because Oscar didn't have a gun, that did not work. That story did not work. So then he said that Oscar was resisting arrest. And when he was resisting arrest, the other officer said Oscar was so aggressive, they didn't know if they was going to be in a battle for their lives. And the officer stood up and shot him. And that didn't work because there were so many videos that was taken, and there were so many witnesses who refuted all those things.
Right.
And so the last thing they came up with was he didn't know his taser from his gun. He had poor training. And so because of the poor training, he meant to pull his taser out, but accidentally got confused and pulled his gun out.
But there's a clear picture that shows he had his taser in his hand.
Yes.
You know, I'm tired of them saying that they were frightened for their lives when they kill us. Because you could be running away and it's a gun coming at you. And so you battled this. You asked for when you knew that these were lies, right? When you knew that they were coming up with all these different scenarios, what powered you to get out in the street? What made you take it to the street? What made you cry out for justice for your baby?
Well, first, I had to deal with feeling guilty, to be honest, because I felt like if I wouldn't have told Oscar to take part, that he would still be alive, because he would have drove and not had that encounter. And so I had to really process that first. And then after processing that and really listening to what had happened, where I could just hear my son saying to me, "Mom, I didn't deserve this." And a fight began to well up in me, after my brother. He had started fighting first, before I could even, because I was froze.
Right.
And so after that, it was really a fight to say, you know what, this judicial system is not going to get away with using that same scenario for all of our people.
Right.
If you notice, all of our people who are killed by police, they're either aggressive, they're resisting arrest, they thought they had a gun. Now is the people having their cell phone in their hand and they're getting killed by that because they're saying, oh, I thought it was a gun now, when it's actually their cell phone. And so it really has made me really want to see the laws and the system change because of the way the history of policing. If we study the history of policing was designed that when the slaves would run away, the police would go and catch the slave, they would beat them and take them back to the slave master. And then as we move into the 60s and the civil rights movement, The police was the ones who would water hose us. They would whoop us. They would have the dogs bite us. And so the system of policing, that mentality has not changed. It's just a different uniform.
Right.
And so we have to really address that, start at the foundation and begin to rebuild the system. Many people won't agree with that, rebuilding the system, because you can't change the system that's already established, right? And so you have to, either we say nothing or we say something.
We have
you
to
know.
definitely say
So
something.
we have to say something. And the more people film it, the more people talk about it, the more our society will see, wow, this is really a systemic problem that has to be changed. Because if it's not changed in the killing, our prison system, or even community violence, where the action to find out who the person who committed the murder on community violence is not as urgency as other communities.
Right.
And so we're fighting to make sure that a police who's on the force, if he kills somebody, he still can't stay on the force.
But see, what I'm told is that if it happened here, they can move to another area.
That's
and there's
absolutely
nothing
true.
stopping him from being hired from another police agency.
That's absolutely
which
true.
is crazy, because he should be banned. Just like if you commit a crime and you go to jail, your police record follows you. You can't. So how can you kill somebody? How can you be a police in that record of you hurting somebody or doing a disservice to your community? Why don't that stay with you like a record?
So,
and you can't get a job after because you've been convicted of it, or you've lost your job because of it.
That's what we're trying to do, like a decertification law, so that they cannot remain on the force or transfer to another precinct. So like right now, there's a case in Danville. The young man was in the middle of the street. He was suffering emotional. He was schizophrenic and bipolar. He was suffering, and he was in the middle of the street. They said that he was throwing rocks onto the freeway. This is what they heard. They don't know if it was him or not. But anyway, they said he was walking toward the police officer and he had a knife. So he was walking toward the police officer, he had a knife, so the police shot him and killed him. But if you study that police had already shot and killed somebody else, one of our people before, but now he's still allowed to be on this police force. Now he's killed the second person, and now he's saying, oh, he wants to transfer to another precinct to work. So he could kill somebody else. And so we have to, really work to change those policing laws, that is saying, hey, if you kill somebody, just like we're held accountable, you're going to be held accountable.
They definitely
Murder is a murderer, period.
Period.
Whether they got a check or not.
Right.
You take somebody's life, you're a murderer, period.
Definitely. Definitely. So now that we got the stories about your sons and their situation and what happened to them, I want to know, how did you guys move from grieving to starting your ministries? I'll call them ministries, because you guys are out there reaching, teaching people in a community. And I know Paris, she told me the other day that she shelved, her feelings was put on a shelf, and she was busy worrying about how to take care of everybody else, how to baby, or not even baby, but help people with the process of her losing her son. So she was there for everybody else, so she didn't get to deal with it herself. So how did you guys deal with, like you said, you were guilty, you felt guilty, and you had to get over that process, and your brother he had started the fight on your behalf, and then you had to come out of that. It's like, we got to do this together. How did you guys go from dealing, because I know you guys probably felt the same, like, how am I going to deal with this? And then what comes after that? Because I know now you guys are advocates in the community. You're going to DC. I know you guys have a big group of women. I know you have a big group of women. I know you are in that process as well. You guys have this circle of women that you guys kind of lean on, and you guys do these huge events in how to cope with this or how to deal with this. Can you share some of your experience, or how did you move from grieving to starting your ministries within these communities that we are in? Look, she looking like
I talk so much.
So Christopher died in December, and his funeral was January the 11th. In February, I started his foundation.
Okay.
So we offer different services. We feed the homeless. We do a camp for children. So I went right into it, and kind of like the same thing, because I have a huge circle of friends, family, church members. So I was more worried about them than I was myself, because I knew what I was taught. We are brought here to live, and then we're gonna have to leave here.
Mhm.
You know, and the funny thing about it is I kept seeing my mother.
Mm.
So I kept having these dreams about my mother, but it didn't turn out to be my mother. It turned out to be my son.
So is your mother still living?
My mother passed away 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it happened to be Christopher. And then I look at the path. He was a senior at Casamont. And so as soon as they said you could buy your rings and stuff, he bought his ring. He had, bought his everything. So I've wore this ring for almost 11 years.
Wow.
This is not his birthstone. He picked everything. He picked his birthstone. It's a diamond. It's not his birthstone. He would have never been able to fit this ring. My son had big hands. The only place this ring would have went was on his baby finger.
Wow.
He was almost 6 feet tall. His cap and gown would have never fit him. It fit me perfect.
Mm.
It would have been like a shirt on him because he was so tall, and it fit me perfect. So, sometimes we get the triggers and we just don't really pay any attention. So I felt for me as a mother, I had to have the same spirit that Christopher had, because the day he passed away, he did 5 acts of kindness. We went to the gas station. The little homeless man was there. He wanted a hot chocolate and a bag of Doritos.
Right.
So he took his money and I said, what do you want? Well, he wanted some hot chocolate and a bag of Doritos. His sister, we had got her a game. So he was like, Mom, can you come take me so I could get Janisha game fixed? Buy her another game, because that game was broke. We went to the mall. We went to the gas. He helped them at the gas station, and then he went and helped Aaron. And, for me, if I would have just laid down and did nothing, it would have benefited. It wouldn't have benefited the legacy that he lived.
Right.
Casamont, if you go to Casamont, his face is on Casamont's building. There's a mural of him on Casamont. Casamont shut down. They rented buses, and the whole school came to his funeral. He was just one of those type of kids,
Right.
and it had nothing to do with me, because I don't know where he came from. But anyway, he was here for a purpose.
Right.
And so the year after, the same year, the lady that made the statue, she came to my house. I wasn't home. And my daughter said, Mama, this lady came by and she wants to talk to you about Christopher. What she want? So she was the former Alameda County supervisor, and she had this money saved up. And so she paid for the 2 statues, the one at the lake and the one in Hayward, as tributes to children under 17, because she felt that nobody ever deals with the fact that all of these kids are getting killed.
Right.
So Oakland statue has names on the front and the back. Hayward does not. And it stopped. We're 5 years behind as far as names. But he was so that he'll people, teach and sing. And right before he passed away, we had but I'm going to do it one day. So later on that year, I got a call from Newtown Foundation.
Okay.
So I travel to Washington every year with the Newtown Foundation.
And what is Newtown Foundation?
Sandy Hook, the children that were murdered in Sandy Hook.
So that's okay.
So that's my other family. Hi, family. And I travel out there and help them. We go to Capitol Hill and speak to the senators about gun laws. Gain support for gun laws. Well, like I tell other people, why do you go way out there? That's not going to help you. Well, you have to gain support from other people.
Right.
As long as you're not engaging and helping the fight. I mean, when it's my time, when it's my time, I'm gonna say, look, Gina, look, I need y'all to come to Oakland, because we don't meet up in Washington, and I need y'all, because we need to put in place some laws, for street violence.
So, what is the name of your foundation that's here?
I have 2: Christopher Wanda Jones Foundation and Their Lives Matter.
And how are you spelling Lavelle, ma'am?
Lavell.
Okay, Christopher Lavelle Jones
Foundation.
Yeah. And you're Bay Area, and you're 501c3.
Yes.
And people can make donations to this organization as well.
Yes.
Okay. And can they be a part of it? Are you looking for additional people to be a part of it, or you just looking, for people to donate to the organization?
No.
you
So
can get to work?
their lives matter is a segment because of the 501c3. You can't lobby.
Okay.
So I have my Their Lives Matter, which we always need support because, we're trying to change laws and things of that nature. So, like she said, the more the merrier.
Right.
We can't fight this fight on our own. And it's very few people it's hard work. It is. I'm a member of the Department of Violence Prevention, Family Support Task Force. I'm also on the Thrive Safety Roundtable.
Okay.
I've been appointed to Chief Armstrong's Advisory Council, which we first met. So all of these organizations are recycling the same people. Where there are people like this young lady.
Yeah.
Everybody grieves different, and your grieving process might help the next person.
Absolutely.
But they keep recycling the same people, and everybody knows me. When I have something, I'm calling everybody.
Right.
Because you can help somebody.
Right.
And that's just the way we have to be. We're not going to grow if we don't do it that way.
Yeah, because you have an audience, she has an audience,
Yeah.
and then you have a mother that's still sitting in the closet right now.
Yeah.
Because I lost my son.
Right.
I'm in the dark. I'm taking pills or I'm self-medicated
Right.
in order to be,
it's a lot of them.
in that
Yeah.
process. So go ahead, Paris.
Well, I just wanted to say, after my son was murdered, I was asked to speak at these different places and everything. And then all of a sudden I got overwhelmed. It became too much because every time someone's son was murdered or something like that, I relived that day over and over and over. And it's like the phone call comes, the day just fades all over. It was like I had left Paris just sitting on the couch in a daze because I'm too busy. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, and they're trying to console me, and I'm telling them, I'm so sorry. They were sad and they were broken up because my son was gone and all that.
He
and
meant
so
something to them
instead of me trying to wrap my mind about what was happening and all that, and the healing for myself, I left me just sitting there and I just went full force. But what I found out is after I did that and I didn't deal with my own stuff, I got stuck. And when I got stuck, I was in this place that I didn't even realize I was in. I was just existing. I wasn't really functioning full-fledged the way I should have. And so years later, things had happened in between there, and the wall just came crashing down on me. And that's when I realized, Paris, you gotta deal with it. You have to heal. And the same kindness that you're showing to everybody else, you gotta show it to yourself.
Right. Yeah.
You gotta. Sorry.
It's okay, girl.
You gotta take care
Of yourself.
Yes.
You do.
You got to.
You have
So,
to.
Ms. Wanda, so if she were to come to you and talk to you about, she talking to you right now, what would you say to her? How would y'all help her? Because y'all like the vets. Because y'all outside, y'all dealing with all these people. And I know you had your process too. What would you tell her? What can you tell her? She's in your face right now.
One of the things that we really don't talk about a lot is grief. We don't talk about how, as you go through it, the stages of grief. We don't talk about how, grief is like a roller coaster. Child, and you're happy about them, and then you think about, oh my gosh, he's not here with me. And it causes many different faces that we have. And so I would say to you, as you go through the process, number one, there's no time limit on how long it takes for you to get healed. Many people will tell you, get over it. Or you should be over it by now. Many people will tell you, oh, I understand what you're going through. My Aunt Susan died last week, so I truly know. And you cannot compare those things. And you can't allow people to put that on you to make you feel like you can't talk about your child, because sometimes people don't even want you to talk about your child, or they don't even want to be around you because they say, oh, I know that she's going to talk about her child. I don't want to hear that today, so I don't want to go around her because that's all she talks about. And so,
Right.
and it's true though. And some of our friends do that, and they don't even realize that they're doing that because they don't know how to approach the person when they're dealing with grief. Because if you have not been through it, you cannot say that I know what you're going through. And even though Brenda lost a child and I lost a child and you lost a child, I still don't know what you're going through. I can identify because I lost a child, but I can't say I know what you're going through because I don't know the relationship that you have with your child. I don't know what you went through with your child. I can't even identify with the same death of, the same way that your son died and my son died is totally different. So I can't even say that I identify it. And so I would say to you is to get the self-help that you need. If you need to talk to a pastor, it's okay. If you need to go sit and talk to a psychiatrist, it's okay. However, you need to get healed so that you can be functioning. Get healed. That's all. I want to see you healthy. I want to see you wealthy. I want to see you wise. I want to see you smiling, and so however you need to go through to get there, I'm here to support you. I'm here to love on you. If you need to call me and me just listen to you cry and not say anything, I'm okay with that. If I need to listen to you scream, I'm okay with that. As long as you are not hurting yourself, I'm okay. And then if you begin to hurt yourself, that's when I'm going to step in and say something to you.
Right.
I'm going to be there for you and try to help you get the comfort, the strength that you need.
Well, that's huge.
And everything she said is everything that I've been doing.
Okay.
When I realized, where I was at,
Right.
I was like, I gotta, people, thought I was selfish and everything.
Mm-mm.
But I'm like, I can't do nothing for anybody else until I get myself together.
Right.
And all of that she said is everything tendency to tell you, oh, be strong and all that. No, you need to allow yourself to feel this.
Right.
Oh, you got to.
Right.
You got to, because being strong only makes you tense.
Yeah.
It only makes you hurtful to yourself and other people. You know what I'm saying? There is no such thing as being strong, especially when you've lost a child.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You have to allow those feelings to come out. You have to allow yourself to be. If you, like she said, you want to cry, you want to scream. And I did obtain therapy, and that helped me a lot. And so that's what allowed me to see that I had to be kind to me.
Absolutely.
I was being kind to everybody else, but I wasn't showing myself the same compassion. So
what happens when, so everybody have other children. What happened? Because I'm noticing, or I've been told that when a mother loses a child, the other kids feel neglected.
Well, my daughter.
Well, I'm just saying that's what this is what I've been told.
My youngest daughter actually, and that was another reason why I put myself, just set me aside, was because a week after I buried my son, my youngest daughter ended up in a mental institution. I didn't have a chance to get to it. To deal with what I was dealing with, because I had to still care for her. I couldn't forget about her. And I would say to mothers who do have other children, you can't forget about the other kids. And I know it's hard, and I know you trying to pull your stuff together, you trying to make sense of everything, you trying to, be the one that is strong and all that. But I just had to jump in and still care for her. And she was going all the way left, right, up and down. And I didn't know what I was even going to do about her, because her pain was so deep.
Right. And she probably saw your pain as well.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And her being the youngest, that's her brother.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so she was like, but 13, 14
My
when
daughter
that
was 13.
happened.
I can't see those.
So,
years.
very young, and she was with me when I got the phone call.
Mhm.
And she's like, "What's happening, Mom? What's happening?" And I didn't want to say anything because I wasn't sure.
Mhm.
I needed to see him. I needed to have that definite, he's gone. So I'm like, something happened with your brother. Calm down. And she said later on, she told me that because she kind of went off in the house and punched holes in the walls and all that. And she said that was her knowing that her brother was gone.
Right.
And so I had to really deal with that, and to try to deal with that by yourself is hard.
Of course.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because don't nobody, like she said, people don't understand it. And I was fortunate enough to not have people push me away. I had people coming to me wanting to help and and they did say some of those things about, oh, I got a call. Oh, yeah, I just lost my uncle. And I'm like, but you still have two of your sons. So
I don't have
until
one.
I don't want you to ever have to join this club.
Yeah. That's a club we
So
ain't
that's
recruiting for.
I don't ever
We ain't
want you to
recruiting for
join.
that club.
I said, so thank you for your call. I appreciate you calling and your concern. However, you can't put the two together. You can still hug your babies. I can't. So with that, I'm gonna hang up the phone, and I do appreciate you calling me.
And then y'all have
Well, you
guys have kids. So you have a daughter.
Yes.
And you also have a granddaughter.
Mm-hmm.
How did you continue with them in light of the situation?
So for my daughter, she was older, and Oscar had spent the night at her house a couple nights before he was killed. And on the last night there, he washed her clothes, he vacuumed her floor, he cleaned the kitchen.
Friends, huh?
He had her house spotless. And so she felt that he knew that this was going to happen, right? Because he put everything in order for her. And so it was very traumatic for her because she didn't even go back to her place for 3 months after that. And so I had to make sure that I hugged her, that I loved on her, that I supported her, that I was there for her, because I could not let her find herself by herself, because she was going through, a traumatic loss like I was.
Right.
They had worked like 5 different jobs together. She managed KFC and he was the supervisor out there.
Okay.
And so when one transferred, the other
Oh, so they
transferred.
was together.
So they was together. They transferred. They was in Hayward, San Leandro. They went to Richmond. They went to El Cerrito. They went to Alameda. So, they transferred together. They stayed together. Like,
Well,
they was really close.
Kids.
I always told them, that's all you have is each other.
Absolutely.
Even though Oscar went through some things in life, he strayed away. He, was a young man. He had got a gun charge and stuff. And, but they still was like so tight. And so for her to lose him, it was like, she says, what am I going to do? I can't even work no more. I said, no, you got to still work. you got to still work, baby girl.
Right.
You got to keep going, And she was like, but it was a devastating.
Right.
But sometimes when that happens, parents don't know how to juggle the two. And then the other child do feel like, I'm left out because the focus is on the dead and not the living now.
Right.
When you have to try to balance that very thing and let the living one know, you know what, I'm here for you. I support you. I know you're going through just like I'm going through. We're going to work this thing out. We're going to go through it together.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah, I would, yeah. Miss B.
Well, as for me, I have the 2 daughters.
Okay.
And so both of them saw their brother shot and killed. And so my youngest daughter, who is now 21, she's a senior in college. She's going to be OBGYN.
Okay.
She felt that she should have been killed because she was standing up. So for a while, that's how she, as a straight A student, her story of how she felt about her brother. She was a speaker for Youth Alive, where she would go out and talk about the traumas of gun violence and the effects that they have on people.
Right.
And so that deterred, that's her That's her trigger. And, you know, that's have her going. She's a straight A student. I said, that ain't my side of the family. But you know, but no, I was a straight A student. Right, but, you know, I mean, it is what it is. And for everybody, the trauma, the tragedies are it's totally different. Is, you know, she would a lot different, because she felt if we would have been dropping off my granddaughter, he would be still alive. But like I told her, somebody was gonna die that day. I was laying on my couch. If I would not have gotten up, it would have been me, because they shot out the whole front window of my house. So if I wouldn't have got up, they would be grieving my loss. Right. But the plan was for Christopher, you know, that was the end of his life. And, you know, I try to sit down and talk with them. They don't want to talk about it, but they do not want to see me cry. That's what they don't. If I start crying, they got to go in another room. And, you know, they tell Mama, we don't want to see you cry, but they understand. Right. You know, they say he was my favorite. But we had a different. They know that we had a different.
Boys have a different.
We have a different relationship.
Boys they just want to hug you. They want to kiss you. They want to hold your hand.
I couldn't go out the door. If everywhere I went, he was. If anybody else go, he would go. I'm a hairdresser, so I go do hair, and he'd be like, "Mama, you don't remember where that house is?" No, but I know you do. So where house at? You know, he was the navigator. He was, you know, the person that I could count on for different things. Even at church, my musician didn't show up once. He said, "Mama, I'll play for you." I said, "You gonna play it on the drums?" He said, "No, I'm gonna get it on the organ." He had never been on the organ in his life, but he was very receptive to, because I had a community choir, then I have 6 choirs at my church, so it was just music for him. Right. And he would watch the musicians, and I'm like, "Can you not be over there? Is he bothering you?" I don't know. And so he had never touched an instrument, but he had watched the musicians play. That's and he was raised. He got down there and he sat on the organ and played it just like the song. And from then on, somebody was out of a job. Somebody was out of a job. But you know, my daughters were very important, you know, in my trying to make sure that they were okay. Right. Because, you know, they saw their brother get shot in the head, shot in the face, you know. And like I had told you, you know, I never looked down. So since I was on his back, you know, I was covered from here to here in blood. Nobody ever said. I walked around Highland. Ain't nobody said nothing to me, because they thought if they told me to look down, it was over. I'd be, you know, even though, and I listened to your story, I was at Highland and the lady came to take me to that room. You know, and I heard you say that as well.
With that room downstairs?
It's a room where, you know, they tell you that your child, you know, that the person didn't make
that
it. That
little side room.
Yeah.
Emergency, that little room.
Yeah. So, you know, my granddaughter was only 5 months, but you can't tell her that she never knew my son, because she hears the stories about him. And when my daughter was pregnant, he would sing to her stomach every day. He would wake that baby up and he put her back to sleep. Okay. So, you know, he was real hands-on. My youngest daughter, he would walk her to the bus stop, and then he would always miss his bus to go to Casamont. So he would take her to the bus stop so she'd go to school, and then he'll walk to Casamont. Wow. You know, so he made sure that his sisters was okay. And so I felt for them not having him there was going to be traumatic. But they kind of learned how to deal with it in their own way. And then, like I said, we got a big
But do you guys hear what you guys are all saying in common? How the boys took care of their sisters. And not only did they take care of their sisters, they took care of the community. And so I'm gonna be in y'all business real quick. Okay, so your sons took on that role, whether because there wasn't the male figure, and that's why the son took on such a role with their siblings, like they had to be the protector.
Well, my dark fathers was there. I mean, no, not real. Yeah.
For me, I'm not sure, to be honest. My son I could just remember.
But do we teach them that?
I don't know where
Take
he
care of
got
your
that from.
sister,
I don't know.
be
He
the
just-
protector.
he was
Well,
just-
see, he was the my daughter, my oldest daughter.
But your son
she
was big,
first,
too.
But my son, yeah, he
was
yeah. But when he came, him being by himself, because I didn't have another child, so he was almost 6. So
It's riding by them, baby.
So he was. I can remember a time where my son liked dogs and everything, and so he would always take my wherever we would go, he would always take my shirt and hold on to me. And he was 3, and we went to the festival at the lake, and this guy came and snatched up my skirt, and my son was holding me, and he jumped in front of this boy and was like, "Oh, don't touch my mom."
At 3 years old.
Right.
He
wasn't having it.
Whoa, little man. I mean, he just jumped right in front of him, So I don't know. I can't say for mine if it was something that he was told. He just did
Maybe
it.
just something
And
that's in
then,
him.
his sister, my oldest daughter, my sister, not my sister, his sister, that was her baby.
Right.
That was her little man. And so she would let him do any and everything to her.
Right.
Oh, Marie, don't do that. And I'm like, why do you let him do that to you? But she always felt like she had to protect him.
Okay.
So I'm not really sure. Just looking around, if a man spoke to me, it was like, "What's up?"
That's actually a good trait, though.
And he just had it. He just he did it. And even just with even with his friends, he had a friend who I don't know. He was kind of lost his mind, I guess, or something. And he would always come in the house, give him clothes and stuff. And I was like, "Why are you always giving away your clothes?" I'm fussing at him. "Why you always giving your clothes to somebody?" He's like, "Well, Mama, he don't have nothing." Or he would be fixing plates of food and giving it to them and stuff like that. And one of his one of his friends, they were going somewhere and the guy didn't have any money or something like that. He took him off to the side and was like, "I'm just gonna put this." Right. That he was even talking, he would have the church that's flooded with his friends, and one of the friends, his mom said, "I just want to tell you that I appreciate your son so much." She said, "I could never get my son to ever go to church." Never. And she said one day he was getting dressed, and she's like, "Where are you going?" And he said, "I'm about to go to church." And she said, "Who are you going to church with?" Right. He's like, "I'm going to church with Dimarea." So he was always talking to them about God and telling them, "Man, come to church with me," and stuff. Because my son is interesting, because my son played the drums too.
Okay.
By ear. And so does my youngest daughter.
What church?
I can't remember. It ain't my me. But it was my honor Church of God in Christ.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I was getting ready to say the church I'm at now.
Yes,
which is Good Samaritan. But it was just interesting that and I hear you all saying how they did certain things like they knew they were going to pass. Like my son, he was really
can't see him like
he wasn't a frugal person. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to hold on to
nipples
stuff.
the quarters
Right.
of
And so long story short of that is he took his sister shopping, and she said, "Mama, he was just spending all this money." And I was like, "Dimarea ain't spending money?" She's like, "Mama, I swear he was spending all this money."
It was a surprise.
And and she said, "We just rolled it out." He was like, "Okay, bro, it's on you. Let's do it." And all that, and he was doing all these different things, and people like he was in my grandmother's face. "I love you, Grandma. I love you so much. Give me a kiss, give me a kiss." And she was like, "Move, Dimarea, move. You all over me like that."
Just that loving person.
Just loving on her. And then when that happened, everybody was just like,
That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And like she said,
and so y'all said like different things that they
happened.
did.
It's like going leading up to that.
For sure.
Yeah.
My son wouldn't even give me $5 after he paid the bills.
So I'm gonna read. Y'all mind if I read some of the?
Because I was
trying to, I got too many devices. I'm old. So let me see. She said, as men should take a moment to look in the mirror and meditate of what's really in front of us. It's about our future of our kids, which is true. So that was a man. He said, as men. Sabrina said, "Wow." Neek says, "That's horrible." I don't know what she's saying. and he had to take the gun off the safe before firing. So that had to be, you know, that's true. That's some BS. That's what Auntie August said. From what I heard, he's still a police in another state.
I thought he was a security guard.
I knew he was a security guard in LA. I don't know where he's at now.
Oh, wow. He still got a job, huh?
Yeah.
With security.
A lot of them got jobs.
Okay. Carolyn said, do you pull the trigger on a taser the same way you pull a trigger on a gun?
No, it's different. It's the guns usually have a safety on it. And so you have to release the safety first for the gun.
Okay.
And then in the taser, they don't have that.
There's no safety on it.
No.
Wow. Okay. They need to be held accountable. That's what they're trying to do. They're advocating for, we do have to change the police. We do have to change the way, and she said it was come back from the slave days. And every time we take a step forward, they enact these new laws and these new rules to push us right back, or another way to put their knee on our necks, on our backs. Sissy, she said, "Oh, Sissy, I love you, Paris." They don't say. And someone's asking for Sonia Mitchell to tune into the podcast. Sonia Mitchell, her son was killed in Vallejo, I believe. And she had carried her son to the hospital, and the hospital didn't react.
Right.
And so they're asking her. So hopefully that you guys' word maybe encourages her to use that pain and to take something positive with it. Maybe she could be able to help other people in the community. Arlita says, "Say it, Wanda, so true." Thanks, Sam. This is good. Prayers to you all. Thank you guys for sharing your story. Latasha Haas says, Auntie August says, praying for you three ladies, and thank you for sharing stories.
Thank you.
Patty said, 3 strong women right there. How do you help family through this when they continue to push you away and hold on to negative feelings? And I know what she's talking about, but say for instance, I had a family member whose son passed. But you want to be there.
But they don't want you there.
They don't want you
because they're at a different place, and it's nothing really you can do about it because they have to want it for themselves. You know, I deal with a lot of parents in Chicago, different states. You know, I have friends that I've met along the path, and they got to want it for themselves. I have friends that they don't even come out the house. They quit their jobs. You know, they're not dealing with their kids. Their kids are someplace else, and until they get ready, you can't say anything to them. The relationship and the grief is just different from every single person.
We should be patient with them.
You got to be patient
because it's their pain.
Yeah. Some people's pain is too deep. They don't want to face and deal with what's happening.
Okay.
Yeah, you do. You have to. They're grief.
Right. Even if they're angry about it.
Right? If they're angry, as long as you don't allow them to hurt themselves, it's okay. Because you know what? Anger is also good when it's channeled the right way. Okay. And so you have to be able to have all those emotions and be able to process the grief. And the family members who are watching the person go through the grieving process have to be there to pray for them, have to be there to support them. And you don't have to talk to support someone. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's the person just wants you to just sit there, you know, and you may not even say anything, you know, and the person who lost the loved one may not even say anything, but it doesn't make that conversation, the no conversation, bad. Okay. And so you just have to be supportive of that person. You can't force yourself on that person, and just allow that person to go through their healing and grieving process.
Okay. Let me see if we have some more comments. Okay, she said it was one more. Let's see. Melissa, she says, I'm for all you ladies. So that is great. I do have a final question. What inspires you? Who inspires you? What makes you, and I know, you know, you pray a lot, you're a minister. You're a church woman as well. All three y'all Holy Ghost those feel women, which is good. And I know it had to be the strength of God
definitely
to get you through that. But everybody don't, they don't grieve that way, or they don't believe. Because I think what you guys are all saying is that your son had a purpose. You know what I'm saying? It was a purpose. They came here and did what God wanted them to do, and with that, it kind of went past their lives, and now what's going on, you're continuing that legacy. Because like, if you wouldn't be talking about it, death is gonna happen, shootings gonna happen, murder's gonna happen. But you guys are touching people in the community. You guys are touching people around the world with your stories, because nobody's talking, like you said, nobody talks about the grieving process and what it looks like, and knowing that it's okay to go be angry. It's okay to sit in your closet. It's okay to not want to see somebody. It's okay to be selfish with self. People don't know that it's okay. And they don't even know it's okay to go even talk to somebody, outside of their household about the situation, because a lot of times your household is grieving that same grief. And so how am I going to see the light? How are we going to change what we're feeling and channel it to do something positive with it? So what inspires you to get up every morning and not go to that dark place? What, is it somebody you look at that kind of, I wake up and I watch this, or, I look at my granddaughter and I do this, or I see my son's picture and that makes he wouldn't want me to be sad. So that's what fuels me. What fuels you to keep going, to keep the legacy alive? Ms. B, you look like you ready.
I was about to say, I gotta go pay them bills at all them businesses. So I got to jump up.
We got like 18 jobs. I promise you. I thought I worked a lot. I promise you. This lady got, how many jobs you got? Tell me what you do first. Okay, what's your first job?
I own 3 tax businesses. I own a beauty shop. And I'm opening another business. I don't know why. But, I have never taken this ring off. I carry Christopher's wallet in every purse I have. I go in that purse, his wallet right there. Wherever purse I change it to, it goes in there. He's on my screensavers. When I go to my job and I open my laptop, his face is right there.
Keep you busy. Keep you motivated mine.
Because I be like, look, I'm tired of these people. They're ungrateful. I'm tired. They just look at me like, okay, mom, cut it out. Let's go. We got work to do. And it just fuels me to keep going. And one thing that Miss Wanda said, and I hear a lot of times from parents, they can't heal because they regret certain things. If I would have did this, and there's no perfect parents, so you can't feel that the guilt is really
guilt
keeps them where they are.
And keeps them where they are.
Yeah,
so
it keeps them.
Get past that point.
Yeah.
To know that child, you've done everything you could possibly do for your child to make sure they were okay. You taught them different values and different things of how they should be in the community or just with other people. You know what I'm saying? And one thing I always taught my son is every choice that you make, it don't just affect you, it affects everybody around you. So if you can keep that tight and right, you'll be okay. But because I felt that guilt, I was like in my head, like, what else could I have done? And that will keep you stuck. You just always wondering how you could have fixed it, and it's nothing you could have done to possibly fix that.
Right. And just like I have my pictures. People that have guilt, when they look at the pictures of their children, they see something different. What if I would have did this? Like she said, you would have been still there. So the grieving goes from here to whatever they have that should be a good memory of their child. Right. It comes, with, a different kind. And
so we have to change the way.
Yeah, you have to. I never speak about Christian past tense. And how many kids I got 3 kids.
Yeah.
I don't have to. I got 3 kids.
Yeah.
So.
And I always think about, just my son. I always hear his voice, especially like if I'm going through something. Mama, God gonna take care of you. You okay? God gonna take care of you. And I just remember he would always want to stay up and, Mommy, let's have coffee night.
Coffee. He was an old man.
He wanted to sit up and before you know it, we'd be sitting up talking all night, 3 o'clock in the morning. This boy got to go to school the next day. So he always wanted to share and ask me questions and and talk. And have those moments, like you said, that, they stick by you. And he always did, no matter what. So kind of take that, and when people ask me, like when you said, well, you never talk about it, and like Miss Wanda said, sometimes, people don't want to hear what you have to say about your child. And when you asked me about it, you said, because you never talk about it. And I said, well, I don't want to always impose that on somebody because I'm not really sure how it would be received. So for me, I feel good about talking about my son. I talk about all the accomplishments, all the people's lives he touched. I just hit on those points. I don't really go back to the day of unless it just
that's like she said. She don't talk about the
I talk about good things, and I share with people, and so that healing process, it has to happen, what I mean, or else you just really going to stay in that dark place. And if there is someone, we have to, again, I'm going to go back to that self-compassion. They haven't learned how to be compassionate to themselves yet. Right. To allow that healing to come forth, and they looking at it and saying, this is what the hand I've been dealt with, now what I'm going to do with it to help somebody.
But see, that's why this is so important, because they need to go ahead and forgive themselves.
That's the first
release.
Step, because I feel like that's the first thing you think about is what happened, what went wrong,
and that healing the healing is still alive.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. This is important because it's a parent on the other end of this broadcast saying, "Dang, I feel like that."
But it's not your fault.
And is it okay for me in your life? Because I know, like, well, my aunt, she lost her son. That was like the first death. That was in 1990, and it affected all of us. That was our first real death in our family. And then my other aunt, she lost her son, and I was with, when we went to the apartment building where he got shot at, and I still wake up with that sound, that wailing sound. It was a sound that I had never heard before in my life. That pain, that hurt, that my aunt, and it's like, it was a process, watching her go through this process. And every time she would come around, she would be crying. Like, I could see where people would be impatient. Like, Auntie's still crying? Yeah, that's her baby. Right. You know what I'm saying? But it's just that process. And I've never asked her if she had any regrets. I've never asked that question because I don't want to be imposing, but she did used to call me in the middle of the night. She called me Blackie, what you doing? And then she would just, I miss my son. And she would just cry on the phone. And I was just like, Auntie, I love you. Auntie, I'm going to be praying for you. It's just that, like you said, just reassure her, or sometimes just listen to her cry.
Yeah, but she knew you was the one to call.
Well, she would call me at, at night, in the middle of the night, and I'm like,
3 o'clock in the morning.
You know how the phone be ringing and you fall. Well, we used to have house phones back then. Right. We used to be falling down the stairs to get to the phone, that like I was saying, I was supposed to put in a post, like, when your family hit you early in the morning or late at night, it makes, in my experience, it hasn't been good. Right. But for me to, pick up that phone and hear my auntie crying on the other line, and to just sit in my kitchen, and listen to her, it hurt me, because she was so hurt by it. Not that the death of my cousin didn't hurt me, but it was a mother's hurt. And then that wailing, that's all I could hear, watching her go into the apartment building and seeing where her son, was laying out on the ground at, and that part, it is just, I just pray that if we are in the surrounding where people are experiencing the death of a loved one, that we become more patient with them. Exactly. And be okay with if they have anger, if they have sorrow, if they have, long suffering and all that kind of stuff, be patient with them. And I didn't get to ask you, what inspires you to keep going? And then we're going to follow up and go by what your foundations are and how people can contact you if they, want to get in contact with you. I know you opened yourself up. You have a website. You have all this amazing things going on. So I'm going to let Ms. Wanda go ahead and finish off what inspires her to keep going.
So what inspires me to keep going is when Oscar was killed, how I just knew that he didn't deserve to be killed. And I just knew and watched him take up for his friend, which he ended up losing his life. And when he stood up and he saw his friend being mistreated and was not going to accept that, wanted to talk to somebody in charge. That is what really inspires me to keep going, and knowing that God had showed me years ago that he would go through some stuff and that we would be in ministry together. Ministries for life. Thought about quitting. I was suffering about with Bell's palsy, so my face really turned really bad. I'm like, Lord, I can't do this no more. I can't talk in front of people. And the Lord began to remind me, And so as he reminded me, it inspires me to continue to share my son's story, but also point people to the cross, because that's what it's about. I can only give you words, but it's God who does the healing of the heart. And he heals every broken and hurting heart when people just call on him and just say, Lord, I need to be healed. This is too much for me to bear. Because oftentimes we try to bear the very thing that we can't bear.
God said, give it to me.
Exactly.
And you know what song I thought of? I just, when you said he died, that his friend could live. That's a testament to Jesus.
Yes, it is.
And the song, because you're a singer, he died. That how that song? He died. I be set free. You know what song I'm doing? It's life for us. What a wonderful thing. You don't know that song? No. He's done. It's but marvelous. That song. So I tell you, I used to be in the choir too. I couldn't sing that.
I saw you in the women's choir.
They put me out. I couldn't hold my note. But it just that story just reminded me of how Jesus came. He came, and it was for a short while. To do what he had to do and to save the people. Yes, he was gone, but he's still here in spirit. We can still contact him. We can still, and it's just the truth that you just said, that he died protecting his friends. And to make sure that now that legacy continues. That's the same thing with Jesus. God brought Jesus here in the flesh. And had him go through all that persecution, and they killed Jesus.
Yes, they did.
And through Jesus dying, he was able to save us.
Yes.
We are redeemed because I'm preaching, y'all. Y'all see
Go
that?
ahead.
Amen. I ain't got no collar to pop. But I'm just saying, it just resonated in my spirit. I thank y'all. Y'all are some brave, strong little black ladies, I promise you. And I hope that the audience can capture some of that strength. And, these ladies, I really don't know anything to say, but if you guys need to contact them, if you're dealing with this stuff yourself, how to turn that pain into power, here are examples of it right here. And also pull out that Bible, because everything that we're dealing with in this life is in that Bible. It's definitely in that Bible. And God will give you the strength to endure when you think you can't. He gonna come get you out of them black closets, those dark spaces.
Yes.
He also will send people, angels, to come and get you.
Exactly.
Yes.
People. There are angels out there. I be looking at my phone, and then the angel be like, say, you better pick your head up. And I'll be this close to something that I ain't supposed to be into, But I know God, he's real. He's real. We can't see the air, but we know we breathing it. And so I'm gonna let you guys close out with something that you need to say to the audience, how they can reach you. Just a word of encouragement, and then we're gonna close out, because we've been talking for a long time. This is good now. This is good. Me and my little jacket.
Preaching machine.
This is my minister's jacket. Go, Miss P. I'm gonna let you start off with you.
Well, first of all, I just want to start out with a heart of gratitude and just being thankful to God that what he's given me in the midst of all of that. I have one son, but he blessed me with 3 grandsons. And so I hold on to, what he gives me now, the people that are in my life now, and just encouraging you that that dark place, you're not alone. You have people that love you and care for you, and just never give up. You know, you just got to keep fighting no matter where you are in your walk or in your journey. Just try to find that fight within. And most of all, get a hold to God and hold like never before. You know, keep praying, keep hoping. Just don't stop fighting for yourself. Don't stop fighting for your life, and show yourself the compassion to be able to come so you can share that love with someone else.
And so, P,
Yes, ma'am.
are you gonna start a foundation?
It's not by accident. I feel like this is more than likely the start of what I was walking into when I backed up. So I'm not.
I got something for you to do.
So, you know,
I got you.
Just with the, you know, just in this year period, I've been doing a lot of, you know, just meditation and just slowing myself down to really seek out what God wants me to do.
He gonna give it to you, baby.
And so for that, you know, I know there's a lot moving forward because I told Sam I was not surprised she even called me. So
because you already had the revelation when she knew that I started this, she was just like,
She gonna call me for
I
something.
knew when she started the wise words, it just jumped on me. I wonder if she'll ever talk about women who lost their children. And that was, I never told her that.
no, and it just like watching stuff. And I wanted to do it last week. I contacted B, but I also wanted Miss Wanda to be here. And she'd been on CNN and stuff. She was too busy for the hood girl. She talking to Don Lemon and all those people at the White House. I'm like, I'm gonna catch her though. I'm gonna keep texting now. I'm gonna keep texting. I'm gonna finally be meeting Miss Wanda. But you know how sometimes the Holy Spirit gives you stuff and you can't move, you can't press forward. So last week I didn't even have it because the Holy Spirit didn't lead me to have it. And so I was like, oh, we'll wait. We gonna wait. And Miss B was like, I'm gonna move my schedule around. I'm like, yeah, you got 17 jobs. Move me into a slot. What is your words? Come on, 17 jobs.
Well, I just want to tell the mothers and the fathers, because there are a lot of grieving fathers out there, to just hold on, gain support and love from the people that are around you. And, you know, your healing is going to come when it's going to come. I just encourage those that have lost your children to seek God. Oftentimes, these parents tell me, I don't want to talk about God. If I'm coming to your event, then now preachers be there because I don't want them praying and none of that. But you have to know where they are, you know, and wherever you are, there's somebody that's ready to meet you. So, you know, it might be quiet time, but the ones that are there for you will know when it's time to step up. So I just encourage you to keep living and you'll be okay.
Because people do be mad at God.
Oh, yeah.
I
hear all the time.
I know I was.
My daughter said that.
When my mom died, I was just like, God, I'm doing everything you tell me to do. I'm doing it to the devil. And
you
you took my mama. Yeah, you know my mama?
I met her at Paula's wedding.
So you knew my mama?
I did Paula's wedding.
You did?
And I love the outfit she had on.
I know that sweater thing. Huh?
Yes, ma'am. I tried to make her give it to me.
I tried to get it to me. I think my niece stole it from me. She just stole the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you knew my mama.
Yeah.
You see where I get it from?
Mm-hmm.
All that energy. So that just did something to me. So when people talk about your loved ones that are no longer here, it does something.
It does.
It just gives me like, you know,
she was a life of the reception. Trust me,
I bet she was. That was Mama Gracie. I was doing this.
She was on the music came on. She was there.
They do Tina Turner.
Girl, that what it was?
Yeah, I thought it was. Okay, come on. See, talking to Brenda is like talking to one of my cousins. Go ahead, Miss Wanda.
I would say to the audience to know that God is a healer, that he can touch you everywhere that you hurt. And there's not one tear that falls from your eyes without him not already knowing about it. Mm-hmm. And that he's come to heal those who are hurting. And I would say to you today that, as my sister Brenda said, that it's so important to have a relationship with God. And because when we go through life and we try to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, it does us internally bad. It can cause all kind of traumatic things to happen to us internally that will show out externally. And so I would say to you that you don't have to walk alone. You know, us three, I'm sure Samantha as well, are here to support you wherever and whichever way you need support. Uh, Currently, the Oscar Grant Foundation have a Healing Hurting Hearts ministry where mothers can come together and share and talk about their children, but also talk about how to continue walking forward and walking in the next purpose that God has for you to walk in. Because every time there's a death, there's a new birth. And so in death, in that pain, there is pregnancy being birthed out of that. And so you have to bring forth whatever that purpose God has set for you to bring forth in that loss. It hurts, right? The Bible even talks about when a woman is pregnant, right? And she's going through that pain, but after the birth, right?
Come on, you preaching
After
now.
the birth.
I can see what she said.
She about to start hooping in a minute. She went on the chair. She be kicking her leg up.
Right.
But you know, after that, God has a purpose and a plan, an explosion in your life. I mean, you don't see it then.
No.
You don't see it then, but if you just able to step outside and look back at yourself, you'll see what God has planned. But that He loves, you know, each one of us. And so because He loves each one of us, He knew what we would go through before we even went through it. And so because He knows, He's able to help you endure as you go. Now, at the Oscar Grant Foundation, you could go to our website, and we're here to support. You know, we're here. We may not make every funeral, you know, may not be at every place, but, you know, we try to support wherever we can and whenever we can, because we know that, I know personally that, you know, dealing with hurt is not an easy thing to deal with. And definitely you shouldn't be alone.
Amen.
Amen.
I'm gonna read these last couple of comments, and we're gonna give y'all. I'm going to give people their flowers while they live. I got some. My husband went got y'all some red roses.
Well, yeah.
So he dropped them off. You know, he pulled up and was like, "Babe, how many people you got?" I said, He's like, "Okay, well here they go right here." Okay, so let me see. It said this podcast was so necessary. These mothers need a strong support system. Continue the great work. Let me see. Brenda, I need my hair braided. We can't leave you outside by yourself. You don't get gossip. Okay. Let me see. You see a couple comments. Okay. Wanda said, wow, so inspiring. Cousin Carolyn said, preach. Sabrina said, we never put you out the choir. He gave that I might live. He gave that I might be set free. That's our leader in the choir. Okay, I was trying to represent. Okay, but he said they didn't put me out.
Oh, okay.
I can hold it. I can harmonize. I can't leave a song. Yes, people pass through your lives for reasons. Cousin Mary says, she said life. Yeah, okay, cousin. I felt like that also when mom passed, but I had to remember that God gave his only son so that we can live. That's definitely it. Tosh said hearts. It was praying hearts. And hi, ladies. So nice to come across this discussion. God bless you all. Psalms 46 and 10. You know that one?
46 is God is our refuge and strength. I believe it. Very present help in time.
There she goes. She getting in her ministry, bro.
Right.
God is a refuge. So we want to thank you guys for
46 and 1 is God is our refuge.
you looking it up. Okay, hold on.
Very present help in the time of trouble.
It's 46 and 10. We're gonna read it out so that
so clap
everybody.
your hands. 46 is God is our refuge and strength. Very
Okay.
present help. That's 1. And that's verse 1. Verse 2 is
Courtney, you don't use the Bible that much. Look. I think I could. This one time I could beat you. But hey, as long as you reading something. 46 and 10. 46 and 10. Hold on, y'all. We finna get the scripture. We're gonna close out with the scripture.
46.
It's the New Living Version.
Oh,
Or do you want King James?
I don't know.
46 and 10.
He says, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth.
Oh, yeah, they put it right.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
Be still and know.
No, be still and know I am God.
Yeah.
Okay. He'll be the one that's going to lead us out of all this stuff. So, as again, we make sure our guests have their flowers. We want to make sure we love them.
Thank you.
Make sure
Yes,
you guys like and comment and subscribe to this Facebook page. Like and subscribe to our YouTube page. If you need to reach out to these ladies, we'll put their information at the bottom. We appreciate you guys joining this wonderful conversation on this Friday night. Y'all could have been doing anything else, but you guys decided to be with us. So we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. And we want to say, get close to God. If you don't know who God is and who Jesus' son is, I'm going to invite you to know who he is. And all they got to do to be saved is what?
Accept, believe, and see, confess.
Okay, A, accept,
B,
B, believe,
and C, confess.
and confess. All you got to do.
A, B, and C.
A, B, and C. And we're going to put that down at the bottom too, because we can't do this without doing the work. This is God's work. This is God's work. He said, go out and get these people and make sure we heal the land.
Yep.
And this is our part of healing the land. We're doing his work here on earth. So we love y'all.
Yes.
We appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in to Samantha's Wise Words. Good night, y'all. Y'all see my jacket?